It's 58 BC, when 150 of these men marched toward a Germanic horde of 120,000 warriors. Roman generals thought their commander had lost his mind. 3 hours later, 800 barbarians lay dead, and not a single one of these mysterious soldiers had broken formation. They were called the Evocati, and they were the Roman Empire's most terrifying secret weapon. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. The same force that made Rome invincible would eventually tear the empire apart from the inside. Picture this. It's 58 BC, and Julius Caesar has a massive problem. He's commanding 4 legions in Gaul, but his troops are green, untested kids who've never seen real combat. During a skirmish with the Helvetii tribe, Caesar watches in horror as his 9th legion completely shatters when enemy cavalry hits their flank. 800 men die not because they were outfought, but because panic spread faster than the enemy could. Caesar realizes something chilling. Training camps can teach formations and drills, but they can't replicate the smell of blood, the chaos of shields collapsing, the raw terror of your first real battle. His legions will break every single time until they get that experience. And by then, most of them will be dead. So Caesar does something radical. He sends secret messengers across Italy hunting for a very specific type of man. Veterans with minimum 15 years of service. Survivors of at least 5 major battles. Men who'd seen death so many times they'd stopped fearing it. The offer? Gold beyond anything Rome typically paid, and one final taste of glory. Within weeks, the first 50 arrive at Caesar's camp, and they're nothing like regular legionaries. They don't march in neat formation. They move with the casual confidence of apex predators. Every step calculated to conserve energy. Their bodies tell stories. Missing fingers, shattered noses, faces mapped with scars. Many limp from wounds that healed wrong decades ago. But it's their eyes that unnerve the younger troops. That empty stare of men who've killed more people than they can count. These weren't soldiers anymore. They were industrial killing machines who'd spent entire lifetimes perfecting the art of death. They needed no basic training, knew every dirty trick in combat, could march 50 kilometers carrying full gear without complaint, and build fortifications in half the time of regular legions. But here's what made them truly dangerous. They operated completely outside Rome's official military structure. They answered only to whoever summoned them, ignored the Senate entirely, and didn't even carry the standard legionary eagle. Instead, their banners displayed personal symbols. Because the Evocati weren't Rome's army, they were private shock troops loyal to one man. And then came the demonstration that would make them legendary. The Germanic chieftain Ariovistus crossed the Rhine with 120,000 warriors, and Caesar's 30,000 legionaries were already broken before the battle even started. The young Romans had heard the stories. Germans were giants who drank blood and fought naked, warriors who never retreated. Fear spread through the camp like a plague. Caesar's response? He ordered his entire regular army to stay in camp. Only the Evocati would march out. 150 veterans against 120,000 barbarians. His officers thought he'd lost his mind. What happened next became the stuff of nightmares for Rome's enemies. The Evocati marched straight toward the Germanic camp, locked shields into the testudo formation, and created an impenetrable steel tortoise. For 2 hours, the Germans threw everything at them. Spears, axes, longswords. Nothing worked. The veterans just kept advancing, not even counterattacking, walking forward with machine-like precision. When the barbarians were exhausted and confused, the Evocati broke formation and attacked. What followed wasn't a battle, but a surgical demonstration in violence. Block, Stab, withdraw, move to next target. They worked in synchronized pairs, rotating positions, never wasting energy. 3 hours later, 800 Germans lay dead, and the veterans withdrew in perfect formation without taking a single prisoner. That night, Ariovistus requested negotiations. Caesar's young legionaries, who'd been paralyzed with terror, suddenly believed they were invincible. But Caesar's success caught attention. Pompey recruited his own Evocati. Mark Antony built a veteran force. Every powerful Roman general started creating private armies disguised with respectable names. And the Senate watched with growing alarm as Rome created the tools of its own destruction.